Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Welcome to the BOF Social Hour, a Batman on Film.com podcast, episode 133. I am the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Ramey, and this is my little podcast show here in the vast, production known as Batman on Film. Brian Lauer, senior BOF contributor. How are you, sir?
Good. Yeah, that sounds about right. I was trying to think of 133. That's about the total number of yards the Dallas Cowboys defense has given up this season, right?
It's not joking.
Woo.
Probably rather
Yeah.
close. Yeah. Yeah. They're
starting off hot.
They're not bad.
It's still summer in Dallas. It is sizzling. They're on fire.
This number 11, this Micah Parsons.
He's
played
okay.
a little football. Yeah, he's all right.
How about
Yeah.
Micahs? Those Micahs in this world, though.
Yeah,
they can do some damage.
exactly. I got to say I'm happy with the start of this season, both with my Dallas Cowboys and Texas Longhorns as well. So
Yeah,
we're
where are
also
they?
3
Third?
and 0.
Rank
Yeah.
3, I think.
Something. Yeah.
Behind some Michigan Wolverines, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's all right.
So we
They've
shall
actually-
see where it
I feel
ends
like
up.
they've earned their place a little bit more than Michigan. Michigan's kind of had 3 non-competitors. There's Texas. I was so happy for them knocking. Sorry, Trey Jackson, but knocking down Alabama so early on. It's bliss.
Well, we're back to our favorites / rank them,
Yes.
whatever you want to call it. Well, I always give you and Pete somehow been like alternating. I've tried to get all 3 of us on, and then like Pete Vera, I guess he had a big shipment of Boudin arrived. He had to smoke this morning or something because he was supposed to join us, and we talked a little bit about. Well, there we go. Where you are, what? Just in
5 minutes.
5 minutes. So I want to give you a chance, since you and Pete been flip flopping, like I said. We talked about a little about the Batman, some of the scuttlebutt going around. Do you have any thoughts on any of the Batman stuff? 13-year-old Dick Grayson, Clayface, starting to film in March of next year. Any thoughts on any of that?
I'm all in on whatever Matt Reeves decides to do.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference, definitely, and this may sound like obvious, but there's a difference between dislike and preference.
Yes.
My preference is solo Batman stories in Gotham City.
Yes.
That's what gravitates me the most. If I can have a choice, that's what I'd want. That does not mean that I have not enjoyed or don't like Dick Grayson, Robin, and Batman stories. I like Batman Forever. Hey, Dick Grayson, Robin's in that. Like it's enjoyable to me. There's cartoons. There's plenty of cartoons that I enjoy the 2. There's plenty of comic book stories that I really enjoy with both. So just because my favorite is Batman solo doesn't mean that if Reeves brings in Dick Grayson in whatever aging form, however he's going to use the story, a lot, a little, I don't know, whatever he's going to do with him. That doesn't mean that I instantly I'm going to write off this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, he already won me over with this first movie. So basically, how am I going to have any kind of negative reaction to whatever, does get confirmed and announced post this current strike that's going on? And so Clayface, I think if that pans out to being something that's included, it'll be interesting what version. Hell, if he goes a little crazy with an actual, the Clayface, Mud Monster, whatever, it's like, okay, sure, let's see what you got. If he uses the original incarnation, that seems like it makes a lot more sense just for what Reeves has done so far, as well as the nods and the respect to old golden age Batman. That'd be really interesting. If it's a serial killer, it'd be interesting of like, how's he going to make that a little more different than what we saw in the first one, because Riddler was a serial killer, and I just don't feel like he'd want to repeat himself. But I don't know. I'll ask him when I have lunch with him in a couple weeks. And then, oh man, what was the last thing? Something that you mentioned in a mailbag, I think recently too. And I think it'd be great just for the fan part of using either like Julie Madison or Silver St. Cloud.
Yeah.
Two throwback characters. I know Blink and You'll Miss, and many people just think, oh, there's a love interest in Batman and Robin, but it's like, that's Julie Madison. I think the character could be done better in live action.
Yeah.
I think there'd be, if I was a betting man, I'd put on higher odds of Julie Madison than Silver St. Cloud, because Julie was the first. She's more golden age, but also we've never had Silver St. Cloud in live action movies. So and that fits the 70s stuff, which Reeves kind of is leaning into as well. So that's kind of all I got. I'm interested and intrigued in what will be announced when.
Yeah.
I still don't think there's any kind of cause for panic since we are 25 months from the movie's release date.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's all mine wrapped in one.
I'll just, reiterate what I've said when it comes to what characters. For one thing, I'd say I get a little annoyed. I want fans to kind of break out of this mindset of who's the villain, who's the love interest. That's very 90s, Burton Schumacher era, and not just with Batman. And I say, Burton Schumacher, like any type of film of that sort, you had like the villain was important and the love interest, and you got to check off these boxes. I don't think Reeves is going that way. He's not writing his Batman movies around which villains they're going to include in the film. He is writing a story. He comes up with a story and what fits exactly. Following tradition of the Dark Knight trilogy and Christopher Nolan. And so sure, there was a relationship between Selina and Batman in the Batman, but I would not label her as just being the love interest of that film at all. So I don't know if you insert someone in there just so there can be you can have this subplot of Bruce Wayne having a girlfriend. But yeah, I mean, if it works, if it fits the story, Julie Madison, whoever, Silver St. Cloud, Julie Madison can be a journalist. Silver St. Cloud, what was she? Just a socialite of some sort? pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to make sense. And then it all comes back to what makes sense with the story. And that leads me to, I keep going back to epic crime saga. What makes sense for an epic crime saga with a film that's coming off of the Batman, what the Batman set up and what the Penguin is going to set up, right? Yeah. You've got to take those those two in account, yet we have yet to see the Penguin, but we know it's looks to be some sort of crime, organized crime clash in Gotham after the death of Carmine Falcone in the Batman with with Maroni.
I just revisited actually with Mike Ramey for my podcast, Batman Book Club. We talked Batman and the Mad Monk, and I mean, it just dawned on me there too of like an inclusion with Julie Madison, because you said epic crime saga of hey, Norman Madison, like that story. One of the plot points is Norman Madison's involvement with Maroni.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay? Sure, why not? You know, heard it here first. Wait for it, Bill. They're gonna get tagged into some post online. Source: Batman on film. Norman Madison popping Norman into the Penguin, and then the Batman part 2.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so and same goes for any character. Clayface, Robin. I look at let's look at the world, the universe that Reeves has set up. Okay, what's going to fit? Clayface, there is precedent for a non-shape-shifting monster Clayface, which was the original incarnation of the character. I don't think you do serial killer because of what we saw in the Batman with the Riddler. But and this is not, again, let me disclaimer, this is not me predicting or saying a scoop. I'm just throwing out an idea. And I if you listen to this podcast and you read Batman on film, I always say I am not a creative. I kind of shy away from fan casting, or when I get the questions like, who do you want to see as the villain in the Batman, in this Batman movie? I always say whatever fits the story. I mean, it's like every time. But epic crime saga, maybe it's some sort of something tied with the mob enforcer of some sort, hitman type, who has different disguises and blends in. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. With Robin, I will say that even I said after I watched the Batman the first time, I can see, and I'm not saying the mayor's son is end up going to be this universe's Robin. I'm just saying the fact that Batman and Bruce Wayne both in the Batman, you could feel the empathy he had toward that child. I can certainly see him taking in an orphan kid who maybe lost his parents, like in a way through violence or crime violence of some sort. And I just don't see 12, 13-year-old Robin tagging along with Batman in the Batman,
Well, I think, especially like that age too, the kids grow up fast in movies. And by that, I mean, you can pick from when this movie will be filmed, which, tentatively that's next year. And then it's released in October the following year. Hypothetical here. Yes, there is, let's just say the mayor's son. Already from the stuff he shot in 2020 or 2021, whatever it takes, to this movie, the age gap. And then if that kid returns in the third Batman movie, like the age gap from 2 and stuff, it's like, I don't know. It's always a tricky find a tell.
Well, look at Shazam
movies returning.
Look at Shazam.
Shazam. I was even going to say the It movies, like It Chapter 2, and that was just 2 years after the first one. But it was right in that growth spurt where it would change. They had to do some CGI stuff for their faces and their voices and stuff too. So it's tricky to enter a kid in a live action movie that's going to have like a recurring role, which we would assume if someone's cast in that Robin role, they're going to have a recurring role. Yeah, like the kid who played the kid. I say now he's probably 30 years old. The kid who played Billy Batson in the Shazam movies. You're right. So
I never had a problem with the way Robin was done in Batman Forever. Thought it was pretty good, actually. And I know people go, "Oh, Chris O'Donnell," Well, Chris O'Donnell was supposed to be playing a 17-year-old individual. He wasn't playing a child,
Mid 20s people are cast in high school roles.
Yeah.
It still happens.
I mean, Tom Holland
it's happened
is what?
for decades.
Tom Holland is 43 and playing a high schooler.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. In the Spider-Man, all of them, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, were all in their 20s.
Yeah.
Playing a high schooler. So you just got to, let that go. And so anyway, we'll see what happens. And the only thing I'll say, I've always said, well, the Batman Part 2 has a pretty good cushion. We're still 25 months away from the release date. I don't see the strikes affecting it, but we're getting to that point where if this thing doesn't get resolved here pretty quickly, it could affect, maybe it doesn't start at, affects the Batman Part 2. I hope not. It looks like there seems to be an effort now, especially maybe with the studios, to get something, get a deal done so they can everybody can get back into work and back in making some stuff. I mean, hell, you look at Monday Night Football now is airing the main game on ABC, in primetime network television instead of ESPN because of they don't have anything,
well,
there's nothing new.
I mean, just Google that. There's some, because I found an interesting article. They were doing that a little bit last year, and I mean, this is going down a rabbit hole, but I think that's just a better idea overall. You're gonna have more exposure on ABC than ESPN, in my opinion, especially for Monday Night Football. But I mean, I don't know that we have noticed the effects so much from our end, just as consumers, at this point. If it continues on for the rest of this year, I think we'll really start to we'll be able to notice them next year.
Yeah.
I think it'll be much more noticeable, and harder for them by them, I mean like Hollywood, to kind of cover it with, new stuff and whatnot. So anyways.
Yeah.
And once that strike's over, crossing my finger, we're going to hear some scuttlebutt about the Batman Part 2.
I think, we would have heard. I think we would have got casting by now, casting announcements. If it was going to still film in November, we definitely would have got some casting announcements by now. So
you look at the track record, the history of stuff when it comes to casting. And I mean, I just even in Batman stuff, it's like there is anywhere from so Pattinson was announced as Batman in May of 2019. Filming started in January or February of the following year. I mean, Tom Hardy and Anne Hathaway, I thought, were announced in July, and filming started the beginning of that next. So there's a 6 month before filming even starts. And if filming initially was going to start in November, it just feels like some of those big castings were probably close. But
I said this before. I think that Matt Reeves probably has an idea of who he would like for these roles, the new roles in this film. We'll see who carries over from the Penguin into the Batman. And I do believe this is no scoop, it's just my opinion, my educated opinion. I see that core group, that core cast from the Batman being important in probably most of these films.
I hope so. That'd be great.
Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell,
Officer Martinez.
We got to see him. Gordon, Jeffrey Wright, Alfred, that group, the Joker, the Riddler. I think we all see them again.
I hope he comes back. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, Bill, who do you think should be the villain in the Batman Part 2?
Let's go with
Crazy Quilt. You got it.
Crazy
there you go.
Quilt.
Heard it here first.
Condiment King. Let's Let's go. So
Digitally bring back Vincent Price as Egghead.
yes. And at some point we'll get a teaser and a trailer, teaser trailer and trailers for the Batman Part 2.
A teaser for the teaser and a teaser for the trailer.
Exactly. But we're not there yet. But this is some professional broadcasting right here.
Yeah.
But we have had trailers and teasers for teasers for Batman films prior, and we're going to rank them today, our favorites. And see that segue? See how I did that? I didn't even go to broadcasting school. I just,
oh boy,
natural talent.
Yeah.
All right.
It's 25 years of Batman on film. That's what it'll do to you.
Yes, exactly. So, okay. This is just part of our ongoing series, which has been really fun. And we got some more coming along.
We got plenty of ideas.
Yeah, we got plenty of ideas. And this one goes out to this comes from the last BOF mailbag when someone made a suggestion. And I said, that's a hell of an idea. And so here we go. So to that listener who is listening, thank you.
Maybe I'll pull up and I'll try to find so I can give a strict shout out, but I'll hit that up later.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a Twitter question or it was a email question but Twitter, you can at least give them credit. So, but yeah, we're going to rank our favorite trailers and or teasers. Even teasers count.
Yeah.
I actually have some teasers in my top 5. So, yeah. And these are for live action Batman films, of course. And all right, Brian. We'll start with number 5. And I will let you
go first.
Go first. Yes.
My number 5 is pure nostalgia, but is the official trailer for Batman Returns.
Okay.
Because, and I've told this story, I'm sure I've mentioned it on BOF podcast before, discussions with the Bat Boys, but I distinctly remember going to the video store. Remember that? The video store to rent VHS tapes.
Yeah.
I'd go to the video store, and so this was little 5-year-old Ryan. So I was going with my parents, and I would want to rent Curly Sue every time because there were trailers for movies on the VHS tapes that you'd have to, fast forward through to get to the actual movie. And Batman Returns, that trailer was on the Curly Sue tape. So little me by 5, I'd watch, 89, I don't know how many times at that point. And I could not wait. We didn't go to the theater to see Returns or anything like that. It was a complete, we'll have to wait until it comes out on tape. So I would go to, get rent Curly Sue, and they'd think that I had like the biggest fun for Curly Sue. I don't even know what happened to Curly Sue. I don't know if I ever watched it, but my parents wasted a lot of money renting that damn movie so I could watch the Batman Returns trailer over and over. And I can just distinctly remember like sitting like in my room and just being wowed because Batman and Woman were fighting on a rooftop, and just that whole look of it and everything. And watching it now, because I think it's included on the extras for, the Blu-ray, the DVD, the 4K and everything of Returns. You can see that trailer now. And, you've got the narration voice guy, and then you've got Elfman's theme from the first one that they carried over. I don't know. It wowed me as a kid because I don't know. I loved that look of what I was seeing. I was so excited. And so like that, I can't ignore that because the whole point of a trailer is to get you excited for a movie. And little me watching that trailer so many times got me so excited. So there we go. I know you love it when Batman Returns is brought up too, but
I the first time, well, because I knew Batman Returns was coming, but it's a different, again, it's a different era. The first look I had at Batman Returns, I remember it was some clips from the movie.
Yeah.
Remember Channel 1? Did you ever have Channel 1 in school?
Yeah, we did in high school.
Okay. Yeah. So it was in my history class. I was coaching, but I was, taught history. And Channel 1 played in the morning, first period. And it was like March or so of the year, and they were talking about upcoming movies for the summer of 1992, and there was a clip of from Batman Returns, and I remember exactly what footage they showed. It was Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne, sitting there brooding in the library or wherever he was in Wayne Manor, and the bat signal flashes up, and he gets up. It's classic shot, and also the bat boat or whatever they called that thing coming through the sewers, and maybe a couple quick shots of Penguin and Catwoman, and at that point I was super excited.
You were excited then, sure.
Yeah. So
at Ian Grimm 99. So I think the name is Ian Grimm. He was the one who had the suggestion. And so I think I texted you even of like, ooh, I really like that idea. So good idea, Ian.
All right. Now, number 5. I went back and forth on this one. And then so ended up one was going to be honorable mention and one was going to be number 5, and I changed it a couple of times, and then I finally just said, okay, I'm going to go with my gut. And it is the very first teaser for The Dark Knight Rises.
Ooh.
And I like it because it incorporates scenes from the prior films and sets up the whole, every beginning, every hero, what was it? Every hero has a journey, and every journey comes to an end. And there's shots from Batman Begins with the bats flying around Bruce Wayne, when he hit his I shall become a bat moment. Essentially, a shot from The Dark Knight with when he runs away at the end of the movie and he jumps on the bat pod, and and the whole Gordon scene, we were in this together, and then you were the Batman, what if he no longer exists? He must, I love it. So yeah, that's my number 5. It's the teaser trailer for The Dark Knight Rises.
Great teaser.
Yes.
Did exactly what it was supposed to do. And then
yes,
for
it did.
Fans like us, we watched it about 100 times.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, let's dissect this. Look at how Bane looks in that end shot of, the end shot of that trailer. It's the Bane coming up the steps.
Yeah.
It's always fascinating to me too, of watching that and knowing that Tom Hardy is actually shorter than Christian Bale by a few inches. That Tom Hardy, upon average, I thought he's like 5'8" or 5'9", something like that.
I met Tom Hardy on the set of Rises in the Steelers Stadium. He came up and did press before he shot the scene where he breaks the doctor's neck and all that. He is a short man.
And then the filming of it, though.
Yeah, the way they filmed him makes him look huge.
Great job. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, he got jacked up. But
that was my biggest takeaway from that teaser too, was that shot of the camera low, seeing his steps up to Batman, because it just created such like mystery of like one of like, oh shit, of how big is this guy, and then trying to that little snippet, and you're creating a story around it of like, man, where are they? Are they in the cave? Are they in the whatever? And the tone. I mean, that biggest point of a teaser and a trailer is to match the tone of what a movie's going to be. And yeah, I mean, it set the tone.
There is something to say about that's all I needed for that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of times,
we were all in.
They overdo it with the trailers, I think, nowadays. So
yeah,
just my
which I hope they've cut. I think it just depends on where you look, but I think they've cut back a little bit, which thankfully, because I know that there's
barely has interest. They put one out.
See, but when I thought about that, this is the Batman show. I know.
Yes,
they did a similar thing for the first Aquaman, and I remember that I was actually real appreciative, because I just thought trailers a year before a movie comes out is just kind of silly. And then I think it was even James Wan in July at Comic-Con for a December release of Aquaman even said, like, we're not going to show you a trailer. We're going to show you some footage. Please don't record it. This is supposed to be special for you guys because you waited and you're here. And then it was still like late August or September, I think, that the first trailer for that. And I remember with that, I was appreciative because it is like, well, good. Like, start to build momentum 3 months out. Because if you do it way too early, but the Dark Knight Rises, I remember that teaser played in front of Harry Potter, and I saw Harry Potter with my parents. And I mean, as soon as it like started, I hit my parents. They're like, watch this, it's Batman. But it, planted that little nugget of just a little bit, just a little bit, and did the same thing for the Dark Knight. And I think those kind of things, those work. I'm all good with stuff like that, of just planting that little seed in your mind. Come check back.
With the trilogy, it was typically a very, very, very basic teaser a year out. And then as we got closer to the film, the ramp up, all kidding aside with Aquaman 2, I mean, there's something to be said about, okay, it's September, the movie comes out in December. Let's ramp up now instead of, because to be honest, general audience doesn't follow this stuff like fans do. So when fans complain like, where's the trailer?
Where's the trailer? Where is it?
Where?
You never give it to an ordinary citizen.
Yeah. Son of a bitch. It's the fans are already there. They want to see the trailer not because they think they need to be publicized in the film, which they'll say, but it really is because they just want to see.
They want it.
They want it. That's the bottom line. I mean, let's just be honest here.
And hey, I'm with them. Okay, when this teaser came out for Dark Knight Rises, it felt like it was an eternity until the movie was going to come out. Yeah, but I mean, that's good for it. That's good for the movie. That's good for you, of like to help build anticipation. And like you always say on BOF, of like, and that's when you can like get on the ride and enjoy the ride, starting with that stuff. So
because when you're at that point, just like you said, when you saw that teaser for Rises in 2011, that is 12 years ago.
My goodness.
And when you were like, it's never going to get here. Oh, yeah. Oops. It's 12 years ago. Okay. Number 4. What you got?
Number 4 for me. And it's funny that we talk about maybe showing too many trailers or something, but the Batman vs Superman trailer number 3, that struck for me because it was just so unexpected. I remember it just dropped on a random morning. In the previous trailer, I was a little like, I don't want to be too dramatic and say unsettled, but I was like, as opposed to just like excitement. And that was the one of like the Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, at the Luthor gathering thing. That's how it opened. And with the ending and stuff. And I remember that one, I was like, that one didn't do it for me like I was hoping. And then with this one, which I know now, and I mean, leave everything out of it. Just what I saw when this trailer dropped was like, oh, this is a Batman trailer. They're like, we have Batman in our arsenal. Let's use them. Let's drop. It's a Batman focused trailer. And I do love the warehouse fight with Batman. And that's basically what this was. And then, it is a mood, and Alfred saying something, and Affleck's Bruce in the cave just doing like the side look at him and stuff. It's like, I loved the tone of this one, and the focus was on Batman. This did for me what the previous trailer should have done. And it got me real excited, and I sent it to some friends, and they really loved it too. So we talked about it. So like this trailer, and that's just what I think of, like, what did trailers and Batman movies do for me? And this one, it did what it was supposed to do. It got me really excited, and it got me, jacked up and talking to friends about it. And we were, excited to see Batman, which is what the trailer's supposed to do. So
I got you. I got nothing for that.
Yeah, that's okay. I know.
Yeah, all I will say is go back, read anything from Batman on Film about BVS prior to the film's release, and listen to the podcast. I was all in, and I was excited for the film.
That's right.
That is
We've
fact.
talked about it. You've written about it. We talked about it on BOF Chronicles.
Yes.
And then we can reinstate too the fact that, Bill, you know how I feel about the movie, how Boudin Pockets feels about the movie, and you've never given a shit about it. So
no.
So there we go. That's it.
Yeah, my number 4.
Moving on.
Yes, my number 4 is that very see, less is more for me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's the teaser trailer for Batman Begins that came out in the summer of 2004, where it's just the voiceover of Christian Bale, kind of narrating a few shots from the film, him up in the mountains and whatnot, and you just see that at the end, you see that shot of Batman with the thunder and lightning flash.
Yeah.
And
it was a nice crack of thunder too.
Yeah. And Batman Begins. That's my number 4. Of course I was already all in even before that, but I think it's set.
I had a similar Curly Sue situation with that one, because that trailer was attached to Ocean's 12.
Okay.
And so I pulled what people did for 89, and like I wanted to go see Ocean's 12 really bad.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see that movie. Can't wait to see that movie. And I got to see the Begins teaser trailer, and then I didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in Ocean's 12.
I thought it was just, it being a reboot, and really the first reboot in the genre, where it just set up, to me, it set up the fact that this is different. This is not what became before. This is new. This is the tone we're going for here.
Yeah.
And
that
so
99
on my list.
0.1% of that trailer did not have Batman.
Yeah.
A couple frames of him really quick at the end, and that was it.
And those were just publicity stills,
that
we saw later on. It wasn't anything really from the movie. So that is my number 4. Any thoughts on that? Well, that teaser, or you kind of said you gave your story about it. Ocean's 11.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what I can. It's in my head. I remember it, and that's what's funny is I didn't watch that before we recorded or anything like that, and I've got them. It's in my head. I know that one.
This is how I came up with my list before I even watched anything. I just said, okay, what would I list right now from my memory? Because those are going to be the ones that stuck out to me. And then I went back and watched.
That's actually exactly what I did. It was just like, okay, quick fire, 5. This doesn't have to be your ranking now. And I thought of 5, and then I went through and I started to go through, okay, each movie now, think about it. So there we go.
Hey y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor. All right, number 3.
So continuing on, a lot of stuff we've already mentioned of maybe too many trailer, showing too much, but this one's extra special and sticking out in my mind because it was via Batman on Film. Maybe it was, I don't know, it was Twitter at that point or Facebook, but trailer 4 of Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
That one was a surprise drop, and I remember your posting on it, and I don't remember if it was Twitter or Facebook at that point. This was a month before the movie. I was in Walmart when I saw it because we just come inside. From outside was the Tumblr tour, where they were taking the Tumblr and the Batpod on tour.
Yeah.
So me and my lady had just gone out and gotten our pictures taken with that, leaned over and touched each one of them. And then we went inside, and I pulled up because I was looking at my pictures, and I pulled up something, and I saw this trailer you know, and you were even just like, I didn't expect one another trailer, especially a month out from the movie. And I just sat, I don't know where I sat in Walmart. I just sat down and then I pressed play and I watched that trailer as Christopher Nolan intended, on the floor in a Walmart on my phone.
Yeah,
But
that's exactly what he was. That's what he was planning for people
Yeah.
when they were cutting
pretty
the
much
trailer.
this is the future. But I mean, that one I love. Another fitting with the mood, emphasizing, you know, the legend ends, the opening. I mean, there isn't a ton of dialogue in that one either. There's
Yeah.
music, which feels very like Zimmer's music with almost like the chanting behind it throughout. And then like the opening, I don't know, that music, like that still sticks in my head of the opening music of like, do you think he's coming back? And Blake said, I don't know. And then it's like sort of like almost kind of mysterious, a little creepy and eerie. And then you're getting to see a lot of great, cool shots, and then just really building that music when it's the close up of Batman's face as he slowly turns around and Bane's behind him. And I mean, I know we'd seen little snippets of that in stuff up to this point, but man, that trailer, that was another one. By the time it, you know, Dark Knight Rises, that I was just like ready to just go kick shelves in Walmart. You know, like it got me so jacked up. And I can't tell you how many times
they handcuff you and escort you out.
Yeah. I haven't been in a Walmart since.
I was hyped up. For
Yeah.
the Dark Knight Rises trailer. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, that trailer for me. Oh, and I think that goes into play too of like each of these are things like I can picture in my head watching them, like
what
the
you were
first
doing
time or
when you
something.
saw it,
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah, and maybe that says a lot about me and my life. I don't know, but
No, same with me. That's how I came up with this list. That's how I've come up with a lot of these. Is
yeah,
what do I write down if I got if I number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I say okay,
yeah,
whatever the topic is, that's and then I go back and then I'll watch or whatever.
yeah.
All right, number 3 for me is from the we're on 3, correct? I'll make sure I got my number.
We are on number 3.
The summer of 2007, July of 2007, was that very first teaser trailer for The Dark Knight, where it's just the logo, you know, the logo cracking and flashing. And
yeah, awesome.
I was at Comic-Con. I was in San Diego when that dropped. And, you know, then I had to, speaking of drop, I had to drop everything and then find a place to be able to go post it on Batman on Film, but then also watch it. And I remember being just fascinated with Heath Ledger's voice as the Joker, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Starting tonight, people will die. I'm a man of my word. You know, I just.
And then it was almost a little like, wait, what? That's not supposed to go when you watch the movie, because that's not the way the dialogue flows in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, though each part of that is said in the movie, it's just readjusted. Cause yeah, I remember that too of like, and I don't know, that's when I started my Joker impression too, was hearing that starting tonight, people will die. You know, it was just doing it all the time at work, even just to myself, trying to
because I had, and then, you know, Alfred's voiceover, you know, it's, and that was really memorable because it's the sequel to the Batman Begins, and you had the Joker in it, and there was such a buzz already for this movie a year out that it was, it's just stuck with me. I really like it and not one shot of footage in it, you know,
which great, because you got all you needed of like that, the way that it's shattering and little glimmers of light are coming through, and then you see it's creating the bat symbol, and then that Joker card come flying at the screen too. I think they played it in front of maybe Superbad that summer, and that played on the screen. That was the only time I got to see it on a big screen. And I hooted and hollered, and other people did too. So I just felt like I was with my people.
Yeah.
So that is, probably even more in a Batman shirt.
That is my number 3. And like I said, I remember exactly where I was. And there was also a lot of that viral campaign was in full swing that summer, and there was all kind of stuff. I have a video I took all those years ago. It's on YouTube, my YouTube channel, of jets coming over and putting out a phone number, how they do that, smoke or whatever. And there was a number in the sky that you had to call in, and it was just all kind of crazy stuff going on there.
And that's how you got
dollar bills.
The jet nickname, because you like airplanes.
Yeah, that was it. That's the ticket. Yeah,
that was the one. Yeah,
that's
Thank you, Comic-Con.
Yeah, thank you, Dark Knight viral campaign. Yeah, so a lot of Dark Knight stuff at that Comic-Con, and there was a couple shots even of they released the picture of it's Heath Ledger's Joker holding Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah,
from her face up close with a knife.
Yeah,
that was released, and that's the first time I remember it really confirmed for people that the Joker was not perma-white, because you could see his hands, and and you can clearly see the makeup. It was up, it was like, oh my God, he's not perma-white. That sucks. I want comics. I've got to have comic book accurate Joker, So there you go. All right. Number two.
I'm not trying to play recency bias, but I can tell you that the Batman fandom trailer kicked so much ass that I think it tattooed itself on my heart that day of fandom in 2020. I'll spend less time on this one than all the others, but it was just, there's something about a new take. There's a lot of pressure on getting our first glimpses and teasers and trailers, because it is like, we haven't established this take yet. Here's your introduction to what we're working on that's going to be new and different. And not even, I mean, I can just disregard, because most people don't know behind a quarter of the movie was shot at that point or anything. They don't know about or care about any of that. So disregarding that, just in itself, cutting a 2.5 minute trailer out of just a handful of scenes, delivering that take, and then with his, like, seeing him, I remember watching it, and when he even beat the hell out of the guy, and I was here by myself, and I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, to nobody. Maybe my cat was listening, but I did. I was like, oh shit. And yeah, that, I don't know, what a great teaser for that, to just kind of show like, this is the new Batman.
It was great that, using the Nirvana music.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely it was not what anybody was expecting. Yeah. Music wise, look why, it was just, and then the Vengeance. I mean, that sold it for everyone.
Yeah.
And what's ironic about it is, everyone was like, that's kick ass, and when you see the movie, the fact that he moves, one of the main story arcs and themes of the movie is him moving away from being Vengeance.
Yeah. Yep.
And becoming a hero, which is, now you're only going to get me talking about the Batman.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, we did it for how many episodes straight on the Social Hour?
I think there were 472.
Yeah. 472 chapter by chapters of the Batman.
Yes. The Batman, second by second.
Yeah.
So my number two is the Batman fandom trailer.
What? Oh man, there we go.
Yes. That thing is, what? I toyed. Is this my favorite? Is this my number one? But at the end of the day, it is number two. It made an impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It shut a lot of people up about Pattinson, which was what that's a whole different that could get me on a tangent of, how I am about casting, but it just, man, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And like you pointed out, they had shut down because of COVID, and only a quarter of the film, I think, whatever, had been shot.
25%.
Yeah. To have that footage, it really, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
It becomes more impressive, like the more you know about it. And then after we've seen the movie as many times as we have, and we do sit there and think like, man, they created that trailer out of like a handful of scenes even, and that's it. Just readjusted it. That's all. Just readjusted the shots.
I will say, I just add, just because it's about the Batman, but it's not a trailer, but I think it deserves a little, it deserves mention, is that, costume test that Reeves put out with Pattinson, with just the theme music.
I watched that a lot too.
I did too. And it's just Batman moving toward the camera, out of focus, focusing in, him head down, turn. That was great.
I can remember too. I mean, these are pre-COVID times. This is a lifetime ago, Bill. That it was coming towards. I thought a guy that I worked with, he came running, and we have like an open floor, and I could see him like running toward me, and then he's just like, "What did you think?" And I'm like, "Are you talking Batman?" He's like, "Get on the internet." I'm like, "Oh my god," sort of deal. It was that one's that too, and that one had a nice impact. Maybe that could make an honorable mention. That'd count. That's a teaser.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm gonna throw it in. It's gonna be one of my honorable mentions.
All right.
I'm just writing that in right now. It just popped in my mind because, like I said, it was not an actual, theatrical teaser or trailer, but it was a hell of a teaser.
That's something, yeah.
For the film. All right. Number one. I got a feeling.
I don't think I had something. I didn't debate on anything topping it. The first official trailer for The Dark Knight.
Okay.
The Batman Chronicles. I told you about seeing this, knowing I was on a date, and the theater next to me was playing I Am Legend, and that they were playing the trailer before it. I left the movie I was in, and I didn't ask. I told I said, I'm going to watch that trailer. I don't know how long it's going to be. And so I was gone. Oh man, it was somewhere 10, 15 minutes that I was just gone in that other theater, just standing and waiting and watching.
Yeah.
And then, it came on, and oh my gosh, it was just awesome. I'd had a friend that saw a movie, that saw I Am Legend before me. And I said, did you see the Dark Knight trailer before it? And said, yeah. And I was like, well, how was it? And like, well, Joker looks really creepy. And I'm like, yes. And so, and I remember going back into the theater too. And I mean, the movie's playing, and she's just like, so how was it? And I'm like, oh my God, it was so good. I don't care what happens in this movie. I was just the rest of the movie. I was just thinking about
what I'm visualizing in my mind is that bro meme, that dude with his hand around that girl at an Astros baseball game. And it's used to all these, he's talking to her, like almost like pointing his finger, and she's just sitting there. I can see you like going with that girl. Okay, here's how this is going to happen. The Dark Knight trailer is coming out. I'm going to go see it. That's how this is going to happen.
That's how this is going to go down.
Yeah.
There wasn't any pushback, no argument. There was no animosity, negative, or anything like that. It's just only after the fact, after you get some distance, that you realize of like, that's not a normal situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything. And I still watched that. I watched that this morning too, just out of pure enjoyment. Watching that. And I mean, continuing the tone we'd seen. I didn't get to see the opening bank robbery in an IMAX theater. I did see it via the internet later on. So this was my like Ledger Joker movement, like film first look too. and the way that it's cut and how the trailer does a great job of building toward him, and then it's black evening commissioner, and then it's like a hard like bang like that, and it's
Okay,
the
to be
shot
clear,
of him sitting on the floor.
this is the one with the bat pod at the beginning and the voiceover of the Joker.
You change
things
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then then our first look on him is when he's on the floor, of the interrogation room, and he does that, that head turn and look.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that is let's put a smile on that face. We thought it was Commissioner Loeb. Nope, it was that deep pull gamble from the comics, from Batman lore.
Yeah.
But I mean, that trailer, because I was so excited about Ledger's Joker, and I mean a continuation of Batman Begins and everything that movie or that trailer. Yeah, I don't know if I could do like a most impactful, but I mean, if it's number one, it's got to be, it probably is then for me as an adult that I can remember this stuff. It stands out. I love it.
The Dark Knight, greatest sequel ever.
So this is actually good. There are non-nerds that I used to work with, older than me too, and they talked with such high respect for the Dark Knight trilogy. Because they're like, it would be funny though. Sometimes you'd be like, yeah, so I'm just thinking, I haven't read the comics, and I'd laugh. I'm like, you don't ever have to tell me that you don't read the comics. I know you don't read the comics. But they're up there like, they said if it wasn't for the third one, you could put the Godfather trilogy up there. But they go, I think honestly, the original Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Dark Knight trilogy, they're in a class of their own of pure great trilogies in movies. And
Dark Knight,
I think maybe Empire Strikes Back would maybe Godfather Part 2 would be sequels that people would contest.
I couldn't. That'd be fair. I would have a hard time arguing against that. The genre, it's the greatest sequel in the genre.
In the genre, I think, whoever wants to contest, sorry, not sorry. I do think it is, and I think, in my opinion, as I'm trying to like go through real quick, Spider-Man 2 for me would be second place, but it's a pretty big distance.
It's Spider-Man 2 would be number 2 for me.
I think so, and I think there's a distance though. I think Dark Knight did more as a sequel for the genre than Spider-Man 2 did for the genre.
Absolutely.
So I do think, I don't know. I'm personal bias, sure. I think it's the greatest sequel of all time. If it's in there with Godfather Part 2 and Empire Strikes Back, that's good company. Mm-hmm. So even if Dark Knight comes in third place behind those three, it's like, but that's still like, I don't know, that's good.
Yeah.
So Dark Knight trailer number one.
I will say that it is not my number one.
I think I have a guess on what your number one is, but
my number one is both nostalgia and history. And that is the trailer for Batman 89 that came out early in 1989. And it's basically just a sizzle reel.
Yeah.
From the film. And it was put out to show people what this Batman looked like. And, I wasn't on a date. And it wasn't a VHS tape. Okay. Yeah. At Blockbuster, but I was one of those who actually went and bought tickets for a movie that I didn't watch just so I could see the trailer for Batman.
It was your curly Sue.
It was, yes, it was my curly Sue. And it was January, February is early, that year in 89 when that came out. And I was already hyped.
Yeah.
Because the Batmania was starting to brew. And that trailer, that's really what kicked the door in, it was like Jack Nicholson. Oh, see how I did it? Jack Nicholson was in the Batman.
He was in Batman?
He was in Batman. I'm sorry, not the Batman. And
okay.
it's like Jack Nicholson in The Shining when he axes the door open. Here's Johnny. That was kind of like what this trailer did for Batmania. Is like Batman was Jack Nicholson, Jack Torrance from The Shining.
Yeah.
So, and I had already been, I tell the story how I'd go and look at Starlog and I'd see that, just a few. I mean, there was no Batman on film, 1988 and 89, folks. And this just to see it in action and movement.
A new take. Like I said earlier, I can imagine that, like a new take to get your first glimpse of it moving in live action. That's a big deal.
And you got to think about it. The only live action Batman we'd ever seen really was the 60s TV show.
Yeah.
/ the 66 movie. And hell, I don't even know if that time if I had ever even, I knew of, but I don't think I've ever seen in motion any of those 240 serials. I've seen pictures of them before, So yeah, that's my number one for the reasons I mentioned.
That one. So I figured it was going to make your list at some place. My money would have been on number one, but for me, it's like I honestly don't think I saw that until the Batman anthology came out.
Yeah. You didn't live
2005.
it,
Exactly.
The others you lived.
Otherwise, how do you watch an old trailer for something back then? Whereas 2005 DVDs, were out, and so they included the extras on the anthology are the greatest extras of any physical disc that's ever come out of all time. And they included that trailer on that set. And I thought this was really, this is really cool and everything, because by the time I saw it, I've watched the movie like 100 times and everything. It obviously doesn't hit like it would have back then. Mm-hmm. So, that's why I don't have it on there, because like, I didn't live it. So,
you have to live this for it to have an impact on you, I think.
Yeah.
Although I have a runners up. One of my runners up is not something I lived, but I'll explain when we get there. So, all right. What were your runners up? So you can just, if you have any, you can name them, and we don't have to, go back and forth. Just get what you got, and we can comment on it afterwards.
For the fact of, I can watch it now. I would put it in because knowing the history of it and then watching it, I do like the 89, what you just mentioned. So I'll throw that in an honorable mention for me, because watching it, I watch it now, stuff too, and I think it's cool. And then also probably the Batman, the Bat and the Cat trailer. So I remember I was recording with you and Micah Ramey, and as soon as we hit stop recording, Micah said, "Have you guys seen this new trailer? It just dropped."
I remember that.
And
yeah.
I had a great privilege of getting to witness Bill Jet Ramey frazzled because of like, hey, here's new Batman content. And you're like, what? No, what? I gotta go. I gotta watch this.
It's exactly how, yeah.
And it was just end done, and you had that sucker up like fast, but I know it threw you off, and I watched it right away too. And I thought, and that trailer I thought was awesome. It's edited awesome. It's well done all around on it. And that's not saying that nothing else is coming to mind right now. So therefore, I'm not going to try harder to think, because it's like those two are also things on my mind when I created the list. I can't remember ever seeing the Forever and Batman and Robin trailers. I don't remember seeing the Batman Begins full trailer, which I think you can unearth now, and it sounds very much a product of early 2000s, which is so crazy, because then Nolan really steered away from that just like 2 years later. So
probably
that's what I got.
Probably more studio influenced.
Yeah, I think they used the Nickelback song to it, and that seems so out of place for that trilogy. But
all
right. What about you?
I got 4 in no particular order. probably a couple of surprises, at least one surprise. The trailer for the Batman 66 movie. I've learned to appreciate it after the fact. I remember actually seeing it on TV, but it would be after. I mean, I was 1 year old in 1966, but I remember seeing the movie. I remember it playing on ABC on a Saturday night in prime time. This is back in the days where there was no freaking HBO, Showtime, and any of that. You had three freaking channels, and they would have big movies on. So I was probably, I don't know, this was probably 69 or 70, 221, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. I was 3-4 years old, and it was played in prime. And they, I remember that them playing that trailer on broadcast TV as a commercial for the film. And if you ever seen it, it's Adam West and Burt Ward as Batman and Robin with the microphone in hand, talking about, we're jumping off the small screen into the big one, and Robin going, yeah, holy this and that. It's just very much the product of this of what the show was. But anyway, that's nostalgia for me. The trailer for Batman Forever, if there was, I think there was only there was a couple. This was the first one. It actually has it uses the Danny Elfman score in it. It's not too far removed from being kind of like that sizzle. It's kind of a sizzle reel, like with the 89 thing. There's not much music. They inject the Danny Elfman theme in it, and it's just like a sizzle reel. And I put it in there because I'm very fond of Batman Forever, and I was looking for something different after Batman Returns. So I have that one. You mentioned that first trailer for The Dark Knight. It would probably be, it's like the top of my it could easily make my top 5, and I thought about it, but again,
when you saw that trailer, you'd already seen the bank heist, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe that's like,
possibly.
I don't know. Maybe that's why, like, you just saw a 6-minute clip of the movie to follow it up with a trailer. I don't think a trailer is going to hit as hard because you just got to see that kick-ass scene.
And the trailer for Batman and Robin is a shocker, but I will put
let's dissect that, Bill.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
I have a very specific reason why. Okay.
Sure.
I like I said, I was a fan of Forever, still am, Batman Forever. I was looking forward to Batman and Robin, even though I'm not a Robin guy. And my daughter was 2-ish when that came out, and Mackenzie. And I remember them, the first time I saw it, it was on Entertainment Tonight, and I knew it was coming, so I taped it, like, old school VHS taped it, and we play it, and she was like, got obsessed with it as her 2-year-old self. And when I would play it, and she just point at it, and and she want to go back and rewind it and play it again and again. So that is what I remembered it for, that reason. So that's why it makes sense. My honorable mention list. So there you have it.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Good list. Both ends. Could you have a bad list? I mean, no. If it's Batman, then you're good.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Somebody said the trailer for Gotham. It's like, okay, well, now we'll talk.
Yes. Well, yeah, of course, and that's also on TV, so we won't.
There you go.
That.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, great suggestion by Ian, correct?
Yep.
So thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed the show, since this was your suggestion. And so if you're listening and you're listening through a lot, I know how you just get it on your feed. I get it. But if you're actually listening to it through Batman on Film proper, post your top 5 in the comment section. Or if you're listening on YouTube, same there. Post your top
Post it
5
somewhere.
Yeah, post it somewhere. Or do it on Twitter. I'll post a link to this comment on Twitter, X, whatever the hell it's called. Now I'm calling it Twitter. That's what I'm on. I'm not going to call it X.
As Pete said, twitter.com, it still takes you there. So
yeah,
I mean, that's kind of how I keep saying it too.
All right.
Twitter.
So with that, we'll get on out of here. Anything you want to plug?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
BatmanOnFilm.com. You heard of it?
Thank you.
There's a review up for the latest issue of Batman White Knight Presents Generation Joker. It's a lot of fun. Good issue. Fun ending to tease for the finale next month. That's my most recent review posted on Batman on Film.
I'm going to get the collected on that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Did I order that?
I don't know if it's up for
pre-order. I don't know. I've ordered a couple things but I know it was in my mind to order.
Announcer Rachel is pretty aware that you order a couple things.
Well, you know how that goes. It goes, what? I ordered that a long time ago. I forgot about it. Yeah, that's a ticket.
Going into the office. We're gonna have to swap the living room in the office because I'm running out of space.
Yeah.
But then also the latest episode for my podcast, the Batman Book Club, that you generously post on Batman on Film, also available wherever you listen to podcasts, because Bill, you were a guest on the latest episode, and also the great Michael Uslan was on that episode. I don't like to re-listen to my.
It was okay. I'm gonna give you some props. It's your show, but through Batman on, as Batman on Film as a conduit into your show, because I do post those for you on Batman on Film. Lot of response, lot of hits, lot of comments, emails sent in.
Good.
How much people like that show. Michael's good.
Yeah. I mean, I told you after the fact that I always try to respect people's time. But I could have sat and listened to him talk for a couple more hours. It was a great conversation. It was as expected. I highly recommend anybody, if they haven't listened to that, not just because it's my show, but it's Michael Uslan talking about Batman. Like, who wouldn't? If you come to Batman on Film, why wouldn't you want to listen to that? So yeah, check that out. Like I said, on Batman on Film or wherever you listen to podcasts, track it down. Episode 166, Night of the Stalker. And I did go back to that comic shop for that issue, because Jay Yaws sent me a picture over the weekend. He went to his comic shop and it had that issue of Night of the Stalker for $15. And he's like, "Can yours said 140?" And I said, "Yeah, it was behind the desk and it said $140." And I said, "Maybe it was signed or something." I was back there. Nothing about it was signed or anything. So I don't know why that issue is $140.
Is it one of those it's at the ones that are like ranked on quality? I'm not familiar how they, you know what I'm saying?
CGC, right? But no, It's not one of those. So I don't know. I don't know the price. There's a place in Chicago, but I don't know why the price. But anyways, so that's a follow-up to something that was discussed on that episode.
Yeah.
So episode 166, the Batman Book Club, the great Michael Uslan.
What you got coming up on that? You want to just tease anything?
Well, at the end of every month, Boudin Pockets and I do a wrap-up of new Batman comics. Yeah. There's an Elseworld story called Batman Nocturne, I think. I've never read it before. And then I always gather the Bat Boys in October, and we do like a spooky month to fit the mood of Halloween, because I love Halloween, and have them pick some kind of horror focused. And I do, I don't like to say this stuff unless it's confirmed and happened, but working on, confirmed, have not locked down a time with a very special guest for the month. Someone who's been on the show before, but agreed of coming back. And I don't want to say anything else and jinx it until it's happened. So
okay, very good. All right. Well, all I got is batman-on-film.com. Just go
All
there,
right.
check it all out. And announcer Rachel will finish up here. And we will catch you next time. Say goodbye, Graceland.
You have been listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jet's official podcast on Batman on Film. Follow BOF on Threads at The Batman on Film. Follow BOF on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Batman on Film. To help keep BOF up and running, go to patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm, or you can buy BOF a beer at buymeacoffee.com/TheRealBatmanOnFilm. For Jet and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, founded in 1998.